mask, distance, with online interview, how it will be soon for children when kindergarten will open and schools. What is your opinion, perception? What is the discussions?
About how the children will return to school and kindergarten?
Yes.
Okay. So this is interesting. I thought we were going to be talking about child poverty, and of course, education is part of child poverty. It's important that children are learning and going back to school, and especially early childhood centres. This is part of the development of children, and of course, we are advising the government as per the Unicef guidelines, but also the World Health Organization guidelines, that of course we have disinfectants, that it's clean, that we maintain some kind of social distancing, and that we really need to look at, I think people are calling it the new reality. So we are learning as we go along more and more about the virus and how we can help children. So we still don't know how it's going to happen, but I think we do know that we will need some guidance on keeping much cleaner in terms of disinfecting, and also the social distancing, which I think is difficult for the very young children, but we will find a way. We are also very lucky because we can learn from other countries who have already taken some examples from countries who have successfully gone to school. Hand washing will become very, very important in terms of how we teach children, but we're very happy about that because hand washing should not just be about COVID. Hand washing is fantastic for lots of issues and is good for good hygiene. But we are also helping the government by procuring some thermometers in terms of screening to see whether we have fevers in the teachers and the students. And I think finally, in terms of schooling, I think it's important that we need to balance health and education. Both are very important rights. We need to have good health to be able to have good learning. So we need to balance that as well. I'm not sure if you have any deeper questions, but that's my overall answer so far.
So I want to ask you, what are the specific problems for children related to this corona crisis in this region? Like everywhere in the world, they left the regular school classes, socialization with friends, without, I can say, proper education. What can be the consequences after this?
Okay, so I think that there have been global consequences. We're seeing it all over the world, and the most obvious one for children is the situation with education. What I do want to give the message for parents is to maybe not worry so much. The whole world is behind, and when everybody is behind, then actually it's an equal playing field. And the teachers are professionals. In this country, I've met several of the teachers. They are very much professionals. When we go back to school, they will help children catch up. But the effects are not just on education. What I do want to say is that although it sounds like a bit of a slogan, we are all in this together. As a whole world, we are all in the COVID crisis together. But different populations and different communities are experiencing them differently. So we don't know. I think that we were able to react very quickly in the country in terms of putting schooling online and having online and television alternatives to attending classes. But we don't know how effective they were, and we don't know how much did we learn. We don't know how many children did miss out on those, either because they didn't have internet or they didn't have a computer at home. So these are some of the things we don't know. The COVID crisis has also affected children in other ways, though, beyond the obvious, which is education. And that also includes that as people have been losing their jobs, the families are losing jobs, the caregivers, there is likely that families will fall further into poverty. And certainly the families that were already poor are experiencing more stresses on the families, and so the children also. Do they have access to adequate health cover? Did they have access before? I think that there have been several packages that the government has put out that in terms of the economic packages which have been helpful, but we don't know how they have reached the families of the poorest. And in this rate, we need to look at what are the other services that children are missing out on because they cannot afford it or because they don't have access to it. And one thing that we just don't know enough information about is children who were in abusive families and have had experiences at home which were not conducive, have now been stuck at home for 2 or 3 months with their abusers. So how do we help those children? I also want to say that goes for women in domestic violence situations, and how do we help them? So these are some of the issues that we're grappling with to make sure that children in the country do not suffer too much as opposed to the situation.
Yes. So in this period, we are all more at home. So I want to ask if there is some evidence of an increased number of domestic violence against children during the lockdown.
No, at the moment we don't have that information. We remain concerned, but we don't have that information. And part of the concern is that it's already very difficult to count domestic violence. It's already very difficult to understand what the situation is. And it is a hidden problem. And I think COVID makes it even more hidden, particularly because we're all stuck at home and we're not getting as many visitors. So the other issue also is that we might not be able to see as uncles and aunts and extended family the results of domestic violence and therefore step in. But we are seeing that we have calls to our helpline. What we have tried to do is we have some helplines that are available for anyone that is in distress, and people are calling in with those helplines. That's with the ministries and with the professionals. So they're not Unicef helplines. We support the government to have those. So hopefully, and we are seeing that there is phone calls that we can then address with the services to help people.
Yeah. We don't know yet how it will be that new normal will look like after a couple of months. So what will change in the way of life for children?
Well, I think you're right. We don't know what it's going to look like. I think I am an optimist. So the kind of discussions we want to have is that when we come back, it should not be the old normal. The old normal was not working. We should try and come back to a better normal that has every child in school, every disabled young person and child having the same access and the same opportunities as everyone, everybody having access to healthcare, no matter what families they come from, where they live, city or rural in the country. That when we come back, that I would encourage us to think about how do we come back better. Let's not go back to where we were. How do we use this as an opportunity to say, hey, the things that were not working, let's build on those and make those the priority when we come back, whenever that is. I think that it will not happen soon, so we do have some time to think about it, but we need to go in with our eyes open. We need to make sure that while we are very busy addressing the COVID crisis, at the same time we should have the energy to already start thinking about when we go back, what is it going to look like? And I don't even like to use the word go back. Let's talk about going forward. Let's talk about, I think we're trying to say here at Unicef, building back better.
Ms. Patricia, this global pandemic with COVID-19 increased number of children poverty. How is the situation, I can ask, here in Macedonia with this issue?
Well, today I can't tell you. I do know that recent statistics have already indicated, as I said at the beginning, that some children suffer from more poverty than others, and we have a lot of anecdotal information, lots of stories of people who have lost their jobs and therefore their income has gone down. Lots of people who have been too afraid to go to the health centres because they might catch COVID. So we have a lot of anecdotal evidence. We are working on a study at the moment, excuse me, that will hopefully tell us what is the situation. I think for us, it feels like it's been a long time that we've been living through the COVID crisis. It's been about 2 or 3 months in this country. So it's important that we, and this is why Unicef is doing the study, now is a good time to start collecting information to see what the current situation is for the next 3 months. We have to be aware that information changes on a daily basis and on a monthly basis, because this global crisis is changing constantly. So we're hoping that we can really set up mechanisms to keep a track of what's happening to children and make sure that we have that information available.
Yeah. The question is what we should do next. I think also about all civil society. I'm thinking about NGO organization and plus government. What are the next steps?
I think that the COVID crisis has really brought out some of the existing inequities, some of the existing problems. So what should we all do? I think that we should, based on facts and evidence, really look at who is being left behind, who is missing out in the country, and address those issues. We want an educated, healthy, engaged country, and that's from the youngest citizen to the eldest citizen. So what does it take for NGOs, civil society, families, communities, and the government to make sure that we have those? We need everybody getting access to healthcare for no matter what their needs are. We need making sure that babies are born and they're born healthy. Their mothers are able to also look after them. They're giving birth healthily. We need early childhood development. We need childcare for everyone, not just those that can afford it. And we need early childhood centres and working with preschool. We need better employment. We need better employment levels. We need everybody who is eligible to attend school and is learning. So it's not just the attendance, but the quality. And we need to be doing that together. It should not just be the government, or it should not just be civil society or extended family. It should be all of us working together. I think we all have a role in that.